kicking other people's asses for so long, I figure it's time we got ours kicked.
Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature, the show where we talk about movies past, present, and future. Today we're doing something we haven't done with what feels like a very long time. We're doing the 30th year anniversary review of Platoon. So, as I said before, it's been a very long time since we've actually gotten to go back and do a past review. Yeah. Oscar season definitely had us busy trying to just keep up with all the movies that were hitting theaters and just kind of getting our year wrapped up. So to start the year of 1987, we decided to go by its wide release date, the end of this month on the 31st. So, John, this is obviously an iconic war film. Really just an iconic film in young Oliver Stone's career. What are your thoughts on Platoon?
Platoon is an amazing film. I just tweeted about it the other day. It is one of the greatest of all time. It's one of the best war films. It's just an amazing picture, and I think it's one that needs to be watched. So yeah, I loved watching this movie on it. I think it's my fourth time watching it now. It's great every time you put it on. Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger, the cast is amazing, and Oliver Stone, you know what you're getting from him, and it's great.
Yeah, it's definitely the depth of this cast I think is really great. All the way down to the little roles. You got Forrest Whitaker, Tony Todd, young Johnny Depp before anyone knew who he was.
David.
Yeah, Keith David, another one of my favorites. So there's a lot of really awesome characters. John C. McGinley I think is great in this movie. You may know him as Dr. Cox from Scrubs. And you'll actually get to see where he got a little of that rough nature from this movie.
And of course, Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, and I think this is definitely the best movie that Charlie Sheen has done. Besides maybe some of his comedy stuff, which I think you put into separate, Hot Shots Part 2. Like, that is in itself a kind of an awesome performance, but in a totally different way. Yeah. But I think his dramatic roles, this has got to be his best work. There's so many war films, and we just saw one this year with Hacksaw Ridge. Was probably the last one to hit theaters for people. And I know last year you went through a big binge of different war films.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, was it last year, maybe the year before?
Yeah, because I watched like The Deer Hunter and Apocalypse Now. I can't remember all of them. I went through a lot though. Full Metal Jacket, of course.
I feel like there are essential films of the war film genre, and I think that Platoon is one of them. I think for an extremely important reason. I think that Platoon is one of the few war films that really puts you in the place of the soldiers and really gets you to understand the circumstances with which they're in. I think of the really great movies. I think of like Saving Private Ryan, which I think is like the epitome of a great patriotic war film, and then also something like The Thin Red Line, which is much more pensive and more of a thoughtful meditation on war as a whole.
Yeah, humanity.
Where this really examines the plight of the soldier and really examines the duality within the situation, the leadership that's going on in Vietnam. I think that this war tested the soldiers in it, I think, in a very different way than any other war did. And I think that Oliver Stone's actual experience from being in Vietnam, I think it shines through in this film, and I think that's why a lot of movies, I thought about Forrest Gump, it really tries to emulate this movie, in the Vietnam sequences in Forrest Gump, really tries, I think, to emulate Platoon.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you see movies after it. I think maybe even something like We Were Soldiers, where I think that there's a lot of elements that I think Platoon was kind of the originator in these war films, especially when it comes to Vietnam.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that, Oliver Stone has come out and said, too, there's moments in the movie where he actually experienced that.
Yeah.
Even the scene where, they're trying to rape the villager.
Yep. And Charlie's scene comes up and saves him.
Yeah, and that's an actual experience that Oliver Stone had in Vietnam. And we've seen that in other Vietnam. We know that was occurring, but the fact that it came from a place where he actually experienced it firsthand definitely shows through a lot in this film.
Now, one of the really interesting parts of this movie that I really like is got to be the duality of the characters of Elias and Barnes. Played by Willem Dafoe and Tom Berenger, respectively. I think it's a really interesting examination of these two very different ideologies, and how I think Charlie Sheen even says it in the movie about how even though they're in a totally foreign land fighting an enemy that is out to kill them, there is still that division and that fighting amongst themselves about how to approach it. And I think that you really see a group of men with their back up against the wall who can only hang on to their convictions. And I think it's really interesting how those sergeants have these really diametrically opposed views on what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's amazing in this film. The way that these two characters play off each other. I mean, obviously leading up to the iconic scene with Dafoe as well.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I always forget that that's actually the capper to the second act. And I think that the third act is fantastic too. I think it's a movie that builds really well.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think that there's too much wasted in the 2 hours that you're there. I think it's a really lean, mean movie that really knows exactly what it's saying and knows exactly what it's trying to show its audience. There's a clarity of vision in it, I think, that Oliver Stone hasn't had in, I think, almost any of his films. I think this really is truly his finest work.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So we talked a little bit about Tom Berenger here, Willem Dafoe, Charlie Sheen. What are your thoughts on the acting and the cast in general with this film?
It's a great cast. I mean, we've seen a lot of the bigger war films that come out. They always have great casts. But this one works especially well. Like we said before, Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe playing off each other. It's one of the more memorable, I think, character struggles in any film. And then the fact you got Charlie Sheen too, going through his experiences in Nam. I think that's a really interesting way of telling a story. And also for those of you who love Apocalypse Now, it's because I watched Apocalypse Now after Platoon, and hearing Martin Sheen's voice and then hearing Charlie Sheen's overlay, his inner monologue, it's eerily reminiscent of his father.
Yeah,
it's so cool. It's just they have the exact same voice.
And I think that there's a certain vein that I think both Apocalypse Now and this film touch. I would say that Apocalypse Now was probably before this the last great Vietnam movie. And I think this one, I think it has a little bit more of an accessibility to it. I think that
Apocalypse Now is a little out there.
It really challenges you. It's very long. I think Coppola is pretty much known for that one. His movies tend to be very long. Where this one, like I said, I think that it really cuts to the core, gets to the point, and it's just an awesome watch and a fine film.
I think its themes are more grounded in like a personable thing.
Yeah,
whereas Apocalypse Now is much more out there. With its ideas, where Platoon is very contained. It's very much so about the brother next to you.
Yeah.
And how you go through war with the brother next to you.
I thought it was really interesting. It's funny because I think what you're saying is kind of perfect because I think it is much more applicable. I thought about this in terms of my job, like my workplace. Just thinking about the different leadership styles. And then looking too at something like the Young Lieutenant as well. Mm-hmm. I was actually reading. Yeah. Apparently, they actually use that character in this movie in military training as for young officers and what not to do, how not to be. And I think that's very interesting seeing these different leadership techniques and where they may have gone astray and why it doesn't work at the end of the film. I think that, like I said, it's so applicable. It's something that I think that everybody can watch it and apply it to something very real in their own life. So, Oliver Stone is definitely known for having a very trademark visual style. What did you think then about the visuals and the direction in this film?
This movie is beautiful, and the movie shot. The cinematographer is Robert Richardson. And for those of you who don't know, Robert Richardson has been kind of Scorsese's and Tarantino's go-to guy.
And then Oliver Stone now.
Yeah, and then Oliver Stone. Well, he did, Natural Born Killers was another one. I think Born on the 4th of July was the next film that he did with him. But Hateful Eight, Django Unchained,
He
Kill
keeps
Bill.
some good company. He does, Robert Richardson. And we were kind of joking before the show. It's whenever we see a movie, wow, that movie was beautiful. There's 3 cinematographers that it always is.
Yeah,
it's
Lebesky.
It's always Lebesky, Deakins, or Richardson. It's one of those 3 guys did it. If you're sitting there for a second going, wow.
Yeah,
it's usually one of them.
Yeah, the movie is shot beautifully. there's just so many different moments, so many iconic shots, like the silhouette of the soldiers walking across like the blue landscape, the twilight. That shot's one. The sunset, them working out at when Dafoe and Sheen are like smoking that joint, or no, Keith David, when they have that conversation.
Yeah.
Just the visuals in the movie, and then of course like the climax too is like the flashing lights in the woods.
Yeah.
I thought all that was very immersive, and it's so engrossing and so beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of realism to the visuals here. You can definitely tell that this is a cast too, that they've really been through the ringer. Whenever I watch this movie, I'm always astounded at John C. McGinley's face. He looks like he's been up for days. He looks like he's been like sleeping in the woods and stuff. So I think that there's such an accuracy and authenticity with which it's filmed. And like I said, I think that comes from someone that has had that experience. I thought it was really an interesting shot and line. That it's one of those things where the line, they say the line, and then the visual really does match it so well. And it's when they're pulling in to that, near the end of the movie, they're pulling into a base that they had formerly, it was a war zone they formerly fought at, and they're like, it's like returning to the scene of a crime. And even though this is supposed to be a place that's safe, it's all destroyed, there's dead bodies, it's exactly how he describes it. And I think that that's just kind of a really great thing about this movie, that what the characters are seeing and saying really fits what you're seeing as well.
Yeah, the catchphrase of the movie, the first casualty of war is innocence. And it's such an interesting movie, it's such interesting themes, and it's a movie that I think should be watched by everyone.
Oh yeah, totally. I think, like I said, I think that there are essential war films, and this has got to be one of them.
Yeah.
I think that it hits a niche of that genre that not a lot of movies, I think, hit as well as they should. Like I said, this one really examines what it's like to be a soldier in this situation, and it really feels like it's coming from the mouth of someone that really knows what that was like. So obviously this is a movie we both really, really enjoy, but it's that time of the show, like we do every time. What is your final grade for Platoon?
Platoon, for me, I mean, it's easy, A+. Platoon it's one of the best movies from the 80s, it's one of the best war films ever made. It's enjoyable every time you watch it. You pick up on more things. It's a beautiful movie, perfectly acted, great cast. This is Oliver Stone's masterpiece, and it's quintessential. It's a must watch. This movie is amazing.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. I also give it an A+. As I said before, I find that it is one of the 3 essential war films. If you're going to watch any war movies, Platoon has to be near the top of that list, if not the top. It's one of those ones that every time I watch it, I am so engaged with it, I'm so entertained by it, and I always find myself peeling off another layer of it. So if you guys have never seen Platoon before, go out and rent this one. Definitely check it out if you've never seen it. So that's been our 30-year anniversary review today of Platoon. I hope that you guys really enjoyed it, and I really hope you guys check this one out if you've never seen it before. You can find us on Twitter at BacktoFeature. You can also find us on Facebook @/BacktoFeature. Remember to comment down below, like and subscribe here on our channel. We'll talk to you guys about movies all day long. I've been Giovanni Carlo.
And I'm John Vandeloo.
And we hope you guys have a great day, and go watch Platoon.
I don't know, brothers, but I'm hurting real bad inside.
Death? What you all know about death? Everybody gotta die sometime.
All you got to do is make it out of here.
Hell is the impossibility of reason.